everybody, it's Sharon here. Welcome back to my channel for those who are returning, and welcome to any new subscribers that may be visiting for the first time. I have a little bit of a different video today. I was watching a video by ARTYmaze just recently, or Andrea Allen, and she did a tutorial on how she fussy cuts using her, now I believe it was a silhouette. I apologize if I get that wrong. I don't have a silhouette, and I remember watching the video and thinking how amazing it was that the silhouette could do that, and wishing I had purchased the silhouette, but instead I purchased the Cricut Explore Air 2. And I remember thinking how both machines on the market were pretty much in competition with each other, and the fact that I would be very surprised if what one could do the other couldn't do. So that being said, I did a little bit of research, and I did find a video by a chappie, and I don't remember who that was now, and I'll see if I can link that in the description below for your interest, in case you want to go over and check out his YouTube channel. And he had an awesome video on how to do this. So I have only done this once, and it was probably a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. Life got crazy and I haven't been able to get back to it. So I do have quite a bit of printing that I wanted to do, and I decided I'd turn the camera on and see if I could revisit this and show you all how it's done. So as I said, I'm using the Cricut Explore Air 2. I'm also using my new printer, which is the Epson EcoTank 2750, and it seems to be a marriage made in heaven. So in front of you I have my Cricut Design Space open, and I had started a new canvas by hitting the new button here, and I've gone to upload, and in Windows Explorer I have here some tickets that I would like to print and cut, and I'm just going to move my window around so you can see. I think I may have to make that smaller, and I'm doing that by holding my shift key down and just using my mouse. So I'm just going to take one sheet, and I might go with a fairly fussy sheet, and I'm just going to, as you can see here, it says drag and drop file here or browse. So I'm just going to drag that across, and I don't need that anymore, and I believe I went to moderately complex and hit continue, and it brings up a preview window. So I'm going to see if I can zoom out a little bit. Perhaps we'll be able to get the whole page in if I'm lucky. Maybe not quite. Okay, and I'm going to hit the select and erase button, and I'm hitting the white space that is around the tickets, and as you can see, it has taken all of that away. And I'm going to hit the little dots in the tickets. I will see if I can fast forward through this, because this is the fiddly part of the process. Just making sure that each one deletes the white space. You could leave the white space in here and use your hole punch also, or you could just leave the white space there as is. It's entirely up to you. Now that didn't work, so I'm just undoing and trying for the white space again. I haven't actually tried to fussy cut these tickets using the Cricut before. I've not long purchased them, so I haven't actually used them. This is a ticket kit from, it is actually from ARTYmaze, and I will link her shop in the description below. This one here doesn't seem to want to erase, or it has erased and it's over the white square, so it's only showing white, which is possibly quite likely. So I'm just looking for the pattern in the white space where the dot is to make sure that where I'm clicking is working. It can be a little bit cumbersome, but once you've done this, you can save it and it's already done for next time. Okay, and I believe that one there is done, and I think that may be all of them. No, I missed one. Not the end of the world if I miss any. I can use my hole punch, or just, as I said, leave them as they are. Okay, so I'm not 100% sure that that one there worked. Oh, and it didn't. I have another one here. Brilliant. I'm trying to look around the camera, which is really difficult, so just bear with me. I think that's over the white space. Okay, so I'm happy with that. There is a preview button here. Which I don't remember using before, and that's kind of awesome. So shows me that there's no hole in those two, and by the look of it, they don't have holes. This one doesn't, and this one doesn't. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to continue. Well, I thought I had hit continue. Okay, so name and tag. So I'm just going to leave it as that. You can pop in your tags if you want to, and I'm going to save it as a print and cut. So it's already selected. You can see the green line around the outside, and I'm going to hit save. I sound a little hesitant because I've only done this once, and I'm actually revisiting after a week or two, so I'm trying to remember the process myself. So if I do this wrong, I will never load this video and you won't see it, but I'm hoping it will work. You'll have to bear with my technology at the moment. Everything seems to be really slow today. I did notice online earlier that there seemed to have been some problems with, I believe, Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp, I think it was. Not sure what all that is about, but I'm hoping this will work. I can fast forward through this or skip this bit so you're not bored to tears. Wow, this is taking a long time. The other thing I'm wondering is whether I should have checked for any updates before I decided to do this. They do recommend, I believe, that it is better to make sure everything has updates installed for this process to work. So fingers crossed, or I may be stopping the video and restarting. Best laid plans of mice and men, isn't that what they say? I believe that's the saying. Golly gosh, I could have run around the block by now and I'm not a runner. Oh, there we go. I shouldn't have hit that perhaps. Okay, so that has worked eventually, believe it or not. And I am going to select that image and insert image. And I will need to change the orientation around. I probably should have done that when I first set up the canvas, so I shouldn't have hit that perhaps. Okay, so that has worked eventually, believe it or not. And I am going to select that image and insert image. And I will need to change the orientation around. I probably should have done that when I first set up the canvas, so that's better. Okay, so go. So I'm thinking at 90 degrees. Well, let's try that. Okay. Now when we do this, I believe it has to come in to a certain measurement, and I don't recall what that measurement is, so we'll see. It does tell you when you go to create it whether you're over those measurements, so it tells you here it's a cut and a print. Interesting that it says cut first. We'll go to make it and see what it says. Image too large. At least one of your printable images is too large to print. Please reduce size to less than 9.25 by 6.75. So 9.25. This is really awkward around my camera stand. And I'm still not quite. So I'm 9.24 and 6.2. So I'm hoping that will be right. So I'm going to make it. Okay, looking good. So as you can see, there is a black line around the outside of the image. Now, as with the silhouette, you need that black line to print onto the paper when it prints the images, because it uses, the Cricut, uses those black lines as a guide to know where on the page it is, so it knows where to cut the images that you want. So we're going to continue. Sorry, I'm looking around my camera at the moment. And the option is to send to printer. And I have my eco tank there, and it says add bleed. Now you want to make sure that that add bleed button is hit, and what it does is it extends the outline of each of the image so that when it cuts there is no white space, which is fabulous. So I'm going to hit print, and I do have I've got some photo paper in my printer for it to print onto. I'll stop the camera and see if I can turn you around. Okay, so this is ready for me to hit print. Okay, now I'll just set the camera up so that I can show you what the next step is. It won't be a moment. Okay, welcome back. I apologise for the lighting. There is a little bit of shadowing here, but the lighting isn't great in this little neck of the woods in my craft space, so we will try and make the very most of it. And we have our print here. It's come out really, really well. And I'm just checking with my screen that I have it turned around the right way. Because these are tickets, there is no right or wrong way necessarily. Like, I could turn my page around that way, but then it wouldn't match with the screen. So I hope that makes sense. So all you do is pop it on your grid. Now my grid is quite dirty. I have tried cleaning it, but it wasn't overly successful. It's sort of, I have a lot of cut marks and things in it, but it still works quite well. So as I said, oops, this is a photo paper, so it's a little bit thicker. And I'm going to open up my Cricut. So my Cricut is just in front of you. I'm hoping that view is okay. And oops, sorry about that. Okay, and I need to turn my Cricut on, which I haven't done yet. Okay, and I hope this is working okay. I'm just showing you, I'm holding the camera by hand, and I'm showing you that I have a cardstock 4 intricate cut setup, and that is what I'll be selecting to do this cut. So I'll pop you back on the stand and I'll let you watch the final part of the process. Well, actually, if I select that now, yes, and it tells you to go ahead and make sure you've got your fine point blade in and then load the mat. So I'll just pop you back on the stand and we'll see how this goes. Okay, so my fine point blade is in. I'm just going to load the mat and I'm going to press go. And I do have some things behind the machine, so I'm hoping that hasn't affected it. And you'll see now it's checking the guide marks, and I believe that's the same as the silhouette does. It checks the black outline around the outside to make sure it has an idea of where on the page the image is actually printed, and that then lets it know where it needs to cut. So fingers crossed this works okay. It did work okay the first time I did it. We'll wait and see. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason as to the order that it cuts things in, I have noticed. And I do believe for the setting I have it on, it will cut twice because it's the cardstock. I believe it goes back and it does the second cut, so I may not video all of that. I'm not sure if you can see as it's going through the machine, but it does have that bleed mark around the outside, so there's a border around. Actually, I have another copy here I can show you, so I'm just popping this under the camera. So as you can see here with this one, there is quite a thick border that's been printed around the outside of each ticket to allow room for the machine to cut without actually leaving a large white edge around the picture itself. So I'll take you back. Sorry that it's out of focus. I'm hoping that's focused okay for you now. And like I said, with something like this, just making sure against my screen that I have the tickets the right way around according to the way they're placed on the mat on the computer. So and the beauty of this is that you can just let it go and do its thing and go back to whatever you were crafting at the time. The first time I used this process, as I said, it was about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago. I fussy cut some butterflies and it worked really well. It didn't cut out the feelers or antennas so well. It kind of cut some of those off, or they were so fine that they broke as I lifted the butterflies off. But at the end of the day, if I haven't had to spend time cutting them and I lose a couple of antennas, I'm pretty sure I'm okay with that. I can't actually see where it's been cutting. It's quite a clean cut. I've just added a little bit of extra lighting. I'm hoping that helps. I'm sorry I didn't think about it sooner. Okay, so by the look of it, it's going back in to do the second cut. Okay, and it's done. So pressing the release button, and I will just close my machine so that we can lift this up and see how it went. Sorry if I've just bumped the camera, my apologies. Just turning this back around. I'm hoping that view is okay for you. Now, I don't know how I feel about the second cut. I'm noticing there's like a little bit of confetti that ends up lifting while it is cutting. It can be a little bit troublesome at times because it does get caught under the blade. So I think if I were to do them again, I might do a single cut with the card and just see how that comes out. And if I'm not happy with it, then perhaps I could consider the double cut again. I've also noticed that, let's see if I can bring it to the camera for you. I'm hoping that's showing okay. It's almost like there's a double line of cutting. I don't know if you can see that. So it'll be interesting to see how it comes out. But for all intents and purposes, I didn't have to cut them out, and it was done in quite a short time, and I could have gone off and, gosh, done all sorts of things in that time. So I'm just lifting my card off. Trying to lift it as best I can so that it comes off in one continuous piece. And it looks like it's done a pretty good job, actually. There's probably only a couple of little spots that I'm noticing, and one is, sorry, I really hope that was focused for you. One is in here, and one is in here where the tickets were very close together. So let's see if we can lift a couple of them off. And how adorable is that? And as you can see, this little ticket is relatively small and it's done quite a clean job. There is a little bit of unevenness around the edge there, but I'm not complaining. I'm really not complaining. I didn't have to cut it by hand. It saved myself a whole lot of time by doing it that way, I think. So anyway, I'm going to continue lifting these off, and I might turn the camera off there and I will turn it back on and show you the final result. I'll see you in a moment. Back again, everybody. So I hope the noise in the background isn't too distracting. As you know, I printed 2 sheets out, and it did give me the option to cut the second sheet. So all I had to do was lay that sheet on my mat the same way I did with this sheet, and push the little button with the arrows on it to feed it into the machine and press go, and it started cutting the second sheet for me using the same guidelines. So that's fabulous. It means if you want to print more, if you want to print more than one sheet of the same thing at the same time, you can certainly do that and cut them all out. So I didn't know that, so that was a great learning curve. Now I have the little tickets here in front of me, and as you can see, they've all cut really well, including the little holes. So I'll see if I can bring a couple up to the camera for you. Sorry, I'm not a hand model. So you can see it's got right into those holes and cut them out very neatly. So I'm really happy with those. I would say that probably this one is close to the smallest ticket that there is. I can show you the butterflies that I did previously. Sorry, I feel like I'm going to have to create a new ephemera folder, which is exciting but sad at the same time. So these little butterflies here, it was these ones that I did on the machine. So as you can see, some of the little butterflies have lost the antennas off them. But overall, I'd say it did an amazing job. Some of these butterflies, like this one, you can actually see where it's tried to cut the antennas, and it's almost shredded. It's cut it, as I said, it cuts it twice using the card setting that I used. So I don't know whether that would have come out different if I had have just used a paper setting or a different setting that didn't cut twice. Whether that is why the paper ended up shredding like that, because I do know that when there's little pieces like that, they tend to move around when the blade goes back a second time. So it remains to be seen as to whether that can be avoided, and I'm thinking it quite possibly could be. But you can see they're very, very detailed. I mean, you look at the abdomen on that one, and it's cut right in around the abdomen without any hassle. So I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. These images here, I should mention, are by Allegra Digital. I hope I got that right. And I use the pink ones predominantly in my children's journal. There are several different coloured butterflies, and they're lots of fun. So I'm just trying to spread them out so you can see how, you can see that one actually has 4 antennas. I don't know if you can see that. I dare say I will end up taking those off, but that made me giggle. So anyway, overall I think it's very successful, and I will certainly be making more use of it. I hope some of you out there can find this little process useful in your crafting as much as I have. Happy crafting, everybody. I look forward to seeing you. Don't forget to get out there and experience new things, try new things, and seek solutions if you don't know what they are, because if I hadn't have gone out looking, I wouldn't have known that my machine would do this, and I'm more than happy to share. It makes me happy to think I may be giving back to somebody who doesn't know that their Cricut can do this. But, and I will continue to do that for you on my channel as much as I learn things. I look forward to sharing with you all. But enjoy the processes, guys, because it's lots of fun with this creative process, and I'm really enjoying it. I look forward to talking to you soon. Happy crafting, everybody. Bye for now. I'll just quickly turn the camera back on to show you the sheet that I pulled off of the tickets once they were cut. And you can clearly see there's some of the bleed marks left from where the printer has added the bleed to the print to allow it room to cut, so that it eliminates the white border or edge around the outside of whatever it is you're cutting. So don't be surprised to see some of that on your finished paper once you lift it off. I just thought I'd share that with you in case you weren't sure what the bleed was. Okay, I look forward to seeing you all soon, everybody. Happy crafting and have some fun with it. Enjoy the experience. Bye for now.